What is going on, everyone? It is Foul Play here. We are back for the fifth and final match of this modern league. We lost to Dara and versing a Metnik. So this is a supporter of Nikachu, possibly a Merfolk player. I think this hand looks great against Merfolk as long as he doesn't have Force Negation. Even if he does, it's still pretty reasonable. Yeah, so we'll certainly keep. Alright, so we'll be keeping opponent, also keeping a 7. Castle Vantress could be more of the style of the deck that, more of the, like, there's a different Merfolk deck that is a bit more controlling. What's his name? He plays a lot of red prowess as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. Looks like some sort of a control matchup here. I think we just ambush them with the staggering insight and make them have the answer. If they don't, they have to face double spell next turn. Opponent did actually recognize me as a YouTuber or a streamer, asking if we were streaming today, and I said no, not today, just for YouTube, going up on Sunday. So looks like maybe Drown in the Lock, Counterspell. Oh yeah, of course. Why would people be running Drown in the Lock when Counterspell is so good? Oh, is this Esper, man? Oh fuck. We'll fish. We'll see if that Esper Charm's gonna come up hot. It's like gotta be one of our worst matchups, man. Another Counterspell. Alright, we'll attack for 1. We're drawing a whole bunch of uncastable auras over here. Feels kind of bad. Sack the Canopy. Curious Obsession is pretty good. High Number is also good. Let's go for the High Number first. So if we bait a Counterspell, maybe I should have done it the other way around so I could commit 1 aura and attack into a Kaya's Guile. We actually get to deal damage there. Alright, I'll definitely take it. Leave that in hand. Reasons are it's better post board wipe, and if our opponent cryptic commands, we don't want to lose both Curious Obsessions, right? For this sort of matchup, we got Soul Guide Lanterns. I think that's really it. My opponent playing around Force Negation by... No, he plays off of white mana. Okay. Prismatic Ending, getting rid of my Hyena Umbra. Does that mean he's got Damnation next turn? Let's see what happens when we Daybreak. He's not got white mana this turn. So we'll look to draw 2 cards as well. We hit the Force of Negation. Excellent. We also hit a second creature to help play around any future Kaya's Guiles. I feel strangely good now. I don't think we were gonna be winning this one at all. But here we are. At least I didn't think. Sure. If you guys have to like Daybreak Coronet, that's entirely fine. We got another one here. Goodbye, Daybreak. That's an excellent and very fortunate top deck. Opponent concedes to Daybreak. Okay. Weird. We saw a Triome land there at the end as well, so my opponent was actually on 4 colors. But a lot of these decks that are running Prismatic Ending do run Triome lands just to be able to access it for 4, for 5, things like that. I should also say, yeah, Nikachu, sorry, Ametnik's a Nikachu fan, but he may have seen me because I did do that interview with Nikachu, the Coffee and MTG, a couple of months ago now. Got a few viewers from it. Some of them visit me on Twitch. Very, very nice of them. So yeah, I guess another big thank you to Nikachu for having me on the show. Not that he's going to be watching this, I can't imagine. He'd be a very busy man. All right, so Soul Guide Lantern's in. My opponent could be going Engineered Explosives. Not sure how likely that is if they've got the Prismatic Ending. I think it's still somewhat likely though. As it is, I know I want Graveyard Hate, but I'm not actually sure what I want to remove. So probably look at trimming here, and maybe trimming a Sentinel's Eyes as well. Maybe we can trim a mana. We'll leave in the Stalker, and I'll trim 1 Plains. Against these Kaya's Gale stacks, I guess boarding out creatures can be a little bit risky. Alright, well this seems like a keep. We beat Kaya's Gale at least. A little lacking in land and auras. It's also one of our few starting hands that would be good into a Thoughtseize type effect. Opponent actually mulligans to 6. Oh, Ametnik. Wait a minute. Ametnik was actually a viewer of mine for a while on Twitch. What am I talking about? I'm thinking of Mathematic that watches Nikachu. Okay. Sorry, Ametnik. Getting a bit twisted around there. Alright, so Scout Pass. And we saw from last game our opponent does have Snapcaster Mage, so we do have to run out this Hyena Umbra to try and deal with a potential chump block. So this all looks about right. Okay, well that resolves. We get our attack. I'm not sure what else my opponent does for 2 mana other than just passing the turn at this point. Oh, Shock Typhoon. Alright, that makes sense. So not enough to get a token to block with, but something I suppose. So go ahead and attack. I think in a spot like this where there's so many things that we need to play around, guaranteeing the damage initially is probably the best way to go. Now we could play into Damnation. Let's scout here. My opponent has Kaya's Gale. He'll probably do this in response or counter the scout. And I kind of want to encourage my opponent doing some description of board wipe for next turn so that I can get down this Soul Guide Lantern to deal with the Kaya's Gale in the graveyard. Maybe he tapped out for a Planeswalker like Jace. Hopefully we actually make our second land drop as well. That would be really nice. Okay, try for a guy. So yeah, this is a classic match of having a pretty solid hand and drawing everything you don't need. Excellent. He's going for a Jace the Mind Sculptor, so we'll go ahead and force a negate that, pitching the Stalker. For mana efficiency reasons, we'll get rid of the Stalker there. My opponent might actually have the Mystical Dispute here. He's not cracking for nothing. There's the Mystical Dispute, so Jace does resolve. I would imagine he's going for Brainstorm effect here. He's Fate Sealing. Wow. Puts it on the bottom, so goodbye our land. We can't do much there. Let's Soul Guide Lantern. I don't really see suiciding as being a fantastic option for us. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. Maybe we just want to get Jace off this table. Alright, let's attack Jace. We do have another Bogle in hand. My opponent just lets Jace take it like an absolute champ. So opponent Fate Sealing us again. He keeps this one on top of our library, unfortunately. You always want to see them bottom because then you might be able to draw something to help break the cycle, right? Now my opponent gets Teferi into untap. Untap 2 lands, hold up something like Counterspell. Doesn't seem too good for us. Let's attack our opponent's Teferi now, I think. I really don't like doing this, but I really also don't have a choice because we're just nowhere near having tempo. This is really bad if my opponent has Snapcaster Mage. My opponent almost blocked wrong. This, of course, ties up my mana, which is very obviously good against me at this point. Alright, opponent bottoms land. That's 2 cards bottom, 1 card top. Still, that's a win, I think, with Jace and what Jace tends to do. Alright. Opponent plays Damn. Damned. You can overload it for each. And that's what my opponent did. So plus Teferi, untap triple mana. Alright, we hit land. So let's kick things off by going Soul Guide Lantern. Seeing if he counters this. Alright, so we'll get rid of the Damned then. I guess, actually, maybe I'm supposed to get rid of Mystical Dispute there. I think I played that wrong. So, like, we're dead to Snapcaster Mage plus Mystical Dispute here. Alright, cool. I'll concede that. That was poorly played from me. Hyena Umbra on top, but who knows what Jace was doing with it. Probably bottoming at that point. Sentinel's Eyes, I still think is reasonable because you can run it into things like Counterspell and get value off of it later on. I reckon I'm just gonna... No, Curious Obsession's really good here. It's probably just these effects out, I reckon. Even though I was saying I wanted more creatures, I'm on the play now. I kind of want to be a little bit aggressive, but also have a little bit of assurance. 1 lander. We have really good auras. I'm going to gamble it. Awkward noise of one of my friends inviting me to a League of Legends game. Open in the background. Alright, so... I see enough reason to go Hallowed Fountain here. Opponent can't have a 1-mana counterspell effect. Because we have 2 Hyena Umbras, I'm going to lead on the Cartouche, because if Hyena Umbra gets countered, it's... we have a backup effect, right? Alright, play out the Hyena Umbra. Never hit that land drop that you're striving for. Just doesn't happen. I even boarded the planes back in. How rude, man. This is like so bad if my opponent... My opponent can't crack this turn unless he plays a land. He would have played the land pre-casting this to represent counterspell though. I think my opponent's bricked on land. I'm going to have a spot to Hyena Umbra. It's probably just worth force negating anyway without overthinking it. But it looked like my opponent wasn't making their land drop. Okay, they were. Interesting. Alright, if we ever hit that second land drop, that would be great. We're not going to have that much more time. Opponent can't overload Dam here either. He needs double white for that. Finally. Alright, let's pre-combat tap, get rid of this counterspell. If my opponent chooses to counter this, we can Rancor. Maybe I should have done this the other way around. My opponent could be holding up Fatal Push plus Kaya's Guile, and that would beat us pretty hard. I don't really have a way to play around that line though. Also, potential for Cryptic Command, counter this and bounce my token or something. Alright, beginning of combat. Could just be tap draw. Tap draw. Okie doke. Jace the Mind Sculptor. They've not made a land drop yet, but presumably Jace, 0 Jace, decide what land to play would be pretty likely. Is this explosives on 1 now? Fragmentize. Jesus, man. It's a bit backbreaking. So we can cycle the Soul Guide Lantern to draw a card and try to win this here. We currently have 5 damage, 7 damage with the Rancor. I think we're supposed to try and win this here. Fuck. Alright, we're very likely getting wrathed here with how our opponents played it. If not, and all he's got is Cryptic Command, and he's looking to Cryptic tap us, we can beat Cryptic Command without Counterspell backup. Opponent willing to go to 1 for whatever they're doing in this spot. Fuck. Alright, I don't see a world where we're winning this now, not with Jace. Should also note that maybe my opponent was playing around the Force of Negation, but we've not hit any blue cards for our Force of Negation through our lines. Might as well just hold up mana to cast Force of Negation in case our opponent does something too sinister. It could be bad if they end step Shock Typhoon or something. But realistically, Lurrus isn't resolving, right? We need to look to Lurrus plus Bogle. Maybe we can hit like a fetch land and get Dried Arbor and win off of Dried Arbor. Archmage's Charm is, of course, fine. Archmage's Charm can't take control of Dried Arbor. Worth noting. Reach my opponent's discard step. Alright, we'll give her one more turn and we might try to pull the pin on Lurrus. Are they going for Scry too? Alright. So if that's what they're doing now, because they played Castle Vantress this turn, that's pretty bad for us. He bottomed 2 cards. So of course he's been doing the Jace Brainstorm. So Jace plus Castle Vantress actually gives my opponents insane reach and depth into his deck. We do need to do something here. I think we're supposed to cycle the Horizon Canopy and step. Excellent. Great draw. Fuck off, man. What an unlucky charade, mate. What an unlucky charade. I am, of course, referring to my own top deck here, not my opponent's. Right when we draw the Misty Rainforest, we hit the Dried Arbor and just put me out of my misery, opponent. Kill it. Giant Shark Typhoon. Okay. Okay. They might mess up somehow. If they kill creature, we're over. Alright, okay. I'll concede. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We lost 2 games pretty hard there to us not making our land drops and not having tempo. Overall, though, we did very well this league, in my opinion. Not just tooting my own horn there. And we also ended up with a 3-2, which is a better result than Bogles necessary. It's not like a given that we threw 2 anymore. It's something we have to work for, right? I do think I liked the changes of bringing in Cartridge of Solidarity and Sentinel's Eyes. I think they made a little bit of a difference. Or even if they didn't make a difference here, it felt better. Like they should be making more of a difference for us. It's quite weird. My opponent was sort of on an Esper deck, but he wasn't running the Kaya's Guile, at least from not from what I saw. So that was a bit strange. Sideboard wise, I mean, I think maybe we might need a little bit more of a comprehensive way to deal with prowess type decks. So maybe you're looking at Deafening Silence then again, which is a 1 mana. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell a turn. So obviously that slows our opponents down a lot if they can only trigger off 1 prowess effect a turn. And you'd probably turn to it. So you'd probably turn 1 creature, turn 2 aura, then Deafening Silence. You get to play 2 things. And then hopefully untap into something like Daybreak. But yeah, I honestly feel reasonably good about this deck. I'm not like super in love with Leyline of Sanctity at the moment. So if I can run a version of the deck that keeps similar elements to Green White Bogles in having the Cartouche of Solidarity, in having the Sentinel's Eyes, might even want to consider bringing in an extra copy of Spider Umbra or two. Like maybe we could go down on Rancor by 1 for a Spider Umbra. It might sound a little bit crazy or like I'm getting a little bit mad. I don't know. But yeah, I honestly do think Force Negation's in a better place for us over Leyline of Sanctity currently. Of course, with what we have in our sideboard here, we didn't really bring Cursed Totem or Torpor Orb in at all. So maybe you can fit the ley lines there. Maybe there's some other spell you want, the Deafening Silences, maybe some life gain, Spirit Links, I don't know, something like that. You should note that, of course, Force Negation is worse against specifically Grief decks, but I haven't been seeing that many Grief decks, so I'm willing to take my chance on the Force Negation right at the moment. That's it from me, guys. What did you think of the deck? What did you think of the slight changes? Should I maybe trim out a few extra blue cards as well, whether or not it's move some forces to the sideboard and then run some Spider Umbras or something like that? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you're having any success with whatever list you're running at the moment. But yeah, keen to hear from people with the new metagame and what's going on with Postmodern Horizons 2, right? It's a very open field. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Bit of a long video today, but hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.